Just 15 years ago, Tirana was considered one of Europe's poorest capital cities. Today, it's undergoing one of the most surprising skyline transformations on the continent. And by 2030, this once modest Balkan capital could have more skyscrapers over 150 meters tall than entire developed nations. From a tower shaped like Albania's most celebrated national hero to a 205-meter artificial mountain, these projects are rewriting the city's physical identity and raising serious questions about what might get lost in the process. Tirana's story isn't one of slow evolution. It's a dramatic pivot. To understand why this transformation is happening now, you have to look back at how the city grew and how it suddenly became a canvas for some of the most experimental architecture in Europe. For centuries, Tirana was little more than a trading town. It officially became the capital of Albania in 1920, but at the time, it had just around 17,000 residents. Under communist rule, the architecture reflected political ideology: utilitarian, repetitive, and uniform. Prefabricated concrete apartment blocks dominated the skyline, rarely exceeding 13 to 20 meters in height. For decades, the tallest structure in the entire city was the Tirana International Hotel, and that was only 56 meters tall. But everything changed after the fall of communism in 1991. The population exploded. Then came a political turning point in 2013, when Edi Rama became prime minister and made one goal the center of Albania's national identity: membership in the European Union. And that goal came with a message. Albania needed to look like a modern European country if it wanted to join the club. That meant more than policy changes. It meant transforming the capital in a way that would be impossible to ignore. While most major European cities don't rely on skyscrapers to express modernity, Albania took a different approach. The government began framing bold architectural development as proof of national progress. Tirana wasn't just building upward, it was branding itself for the future. To make that vision real, the country brought in a name with global prestige: Italian architect Stefano Boeri. He's known for designing Milan's vertical forest towers, buildings literally covered with more than 20,000 trees and plants. His reputation for eco-friendly, eye-catching architecture made him the perfect choice for a government facing rising protests about reckless development. In 2017, Boeri delivered something that would shape the city's future: the Tirana Master Plan 2030. The plan wasn't just about buildings, it was about identity, global perception, and economic ambition. Today, Albania's construction sector accounts for around 14% of its GDP, the highest in all of Europe and Central Asia. And by 2030, the country hopes to finalize its EU accession process. So what exactly is being built? And why are these skyscrapers so unusual? Let's start with one of the most symbolic projects, the Skanderbeg building. This 85-meter-tall structure is designed in the literal shape of Albania's greatest national hero. The architect started by taking the maximum legal volume allowed on the site and sculpted it down until the silhouette of Skanderbeg emerged. His shoulders matched the building's widest point, and his head is slightly turned to face the square named after him. But this isn't just a stone tribute. His facial features, beard, and hair are made from balconies and terraces. Residents don't just live in a building, they live inside a monument. For a country that spent decades suppressing individual expression, it's a bold move. But not every building reflects symbolism so directly. Take Hora Vertikali, which translates to vertical settlement in ancient Albanian. This 140-meter tower looks like someone stacked giant blocks recklessly into the sky. The building uses 7 different cube types, each the approximate height of traditional Tirana buildings. The architects took the scale of the old city and reassembled it vertically. Depending on where you stand, the building looks entirely different, embracing Tirana's layered cultural history rather than erasing it. Then there's Downtown 1, an even more direct architectural statement about national identity. Rising 150 meters above the city center, its facade is a pixelated map of Albania. Each protruding square on the exterior corresponds to a specific city or town. Apartment owners can literally say they live in the Shkodër pixel, the Tirana pixel, or the Durrës pixel. It is expected to open in 2025 and will temporarily hold the title of the tallest building in the country. But only briefly. Just a few streets away stands another striking structure, the Eyes of Tirana. At 135 meters, this building draws attention with a dramatic concrete crown shaped like a blooming flower. Making concrete appear that delicate and weightless at that height is a major engineering feat. The tower gets its name from circular openings in the facade that resemble eyes watching over Skanderbeg Square. Unusually, the building doesn't interrupt pedestrian movement. Walkways actually cut through its lower structure, integrating it into the flow of the city instead of blocking it. But Tirana's vision doesn't stop there. The proposed Papuli Tower is one of its most unconventional high-rises yet. Designed by Spanish firm RBTA, it consists of 4 enormous concrete silos stretching 190 meters into the sky. But instead of storing wheat or grain, these silos will contain apartments, retail space, and offices. RBTA's inspiration comes from their own studio in Barcelona, which is housed inside old cement factory silos. The layout resembles a 4-leaf clover when viewed from above, with a central core where elevators and utilities are concentrated. The curved exterior walls are left open for sweeping views of the city. The nod to Tirana AES past as a center of craftsmanship makes this industrial architecture feel surprisingly appropriate. The same Spanish firm is also behind one of the city's most visually ambitious towers, the Barcelona Tower. Also, set to reach 190 meters, it rotates 45 degrees from base to top, tapering into a sleek obelisk form. Built using red concrete, it is designed not only to stand out, but to withstand strong winds through its aerodynamic twist. Overlooking Skanderbeg Square, it will introduce yet another bold vertical gesture into the heart of the city. But the most talked about project of all is Mount Tirana. When completed, it will reach 205 meters, making it the tallest building in Albania. The concept was chosen through an international competition judged by the Prime Minister, the Mayor, and globally recognized architects. A clear signal that the project is meant to be a legacy piece. Designed by Danish studio Zebra, Mount Tirana takes inspiration from the mountains that circle the Albanian capital. The idea was to bring that natural presence into the center of the city. The building slopes like a stepped peak, covered in planted terraces that blend the structure with greenery. At ground level, shops, cafes, and public areas spill into a park-like space, connecting the building to its surroundings. The architects describe it as the queen on a chessboard, a landmark that dominates but still belongs. But even as the skyline climbs, the consequences of this rapid transformation are becoming harder to ignore. Behind the glass, concrete, and renderings, there's a different story unfolding. One about displacement, heritage loss, and urban identity. In recent years, 36 cultural monuments in Tirana have had their protected status removed. 17 of them have already been demolished to make room for new developments. Some historic religious sites, like the Ethembe Mosque, are now overshadowed by towering structures that bear no visual or cultural connection to their surroundings. Critics argue that the new skyline lacks cohesion. Mixed architectural styles, varied heights, and unpredictable placements have created visual chaos instead of harmony. For many residents, the changes feel imposed rather than organic. Then there's the issue of affordability. Most of the new towers prioritize luxury residences, high-end shopping, and offices tailored to wealthier buyers, many of them foreign investors. Property prices have surged dramatically, rising an astonishing 56% in just 6 months. Tirana is now considered one of the least affordable cities in Europe relative to local income. The environmental situation is equally alarming. Despite the green promises of planners, construction methods used in these projects consume enormous amounts of energy and materials. Trees and existing green spaces have been removed to make way for development. Today, the city offers less than 1 square meter of green space per resident. For comparison, the World Health Organization recommends 9. That means Tirana has 90% less than the recommended minimum. This contradiction is especially glaring when considering who was initially brought in to ensure sustainability: Stefano Bori himself. His Tirana 2030 plan promised transparency, ecological architecture, and the preservation of cultural heritage. But citizen groups have documented how several of his associated projects exceeded the very planning guidelines he introduced. A World Bank report even confirmed that the city has lost green space over the last 7 years instead of gaining it. Now the world is watching Tirana closely, partly in admiration, partly in concern. Cities everywhere are wrestling with the same challenge: how to modernize without erasing identity. Tirana is one of the most extreme experiments in that struggle. Is this a bold new chapter in urban development? Or is it the story of a city sacrificing its spirit in the name of ambition? The truth may not be clear yet, but the consequences will shape its future for decades to come. What do you think? Is Tirana reinventing itself for the better? Or is it losing the very character that made it unique? Share your thoughts below. Your voice is part of this conversation too.